Thank you so much for your musical gifts. That's one of the songs I try to remember to sing to myself when I need to loosen, loosen, let go, let go. Something about me, which may or may not be true for you, is that letting go is not my strength. When I see a problem, I want to solve it, not accept it. When I'm stressed, I want to control a situation, fight for the outcome I think is best, figure out a workaround, or even just stay in denial that something bad is happening. Sometimes the not letting go is sort of neutral, like the time I stubbornly tried to grill burgers here in Boston, Massachusetts, where I live, in a 20-degree snowstorm, insisting we stay outside in the cold for hours before finally giving up and cooking them on the stove. Sometimes the not letting go actually pays off. I have saved a broken buttercream frosting that my housemate Annie had already given up on by frantically Googling how to fix a broken buttercream frosting, melting it to a very particular temperature. Any bakers or chemists in the house might know what I'm talking about, and then re-whipping the whole thing. And sometimes not letting go does not pay off. I'm sad to admit that I have driven for more than an hour on a flat tire as the car shook violently beneath me, convincing myself it was just potholes on our New England roads and all would resolve itself if I just kept going. Not being able to let go can be a bit of a hard way to be in our world. There is so much going on in the life of our world and in our individual lives. There is ongoing pandemic and ongoing white supremacy, ongoing economic hardship and precarity, ongoing violence and fires and floods and storms of the spiritual and the very material. We're 2 years after 2020, 2 years before 2024. And I don't know about you all, but as much as I am a person of faith and hope and data and science on my good days, I don't know how any of this turns out. Of course, we know a lot. There is history and experts, our own experiences that tell us that we as humans have very little hope of healing ourselves, our communities, and our world. And there is also, gratefully, history, experts, and our own experiences that testify that we do know how to heal ourselves, our communities, and our world. And if I'm being honest, 2022 has me feeling fully in my heart that we are totally screwed and everything is possible. It's a time when we don't know and we may not be able to problem solve or work around or beat that buttercream frosting into certainty. We have to do a very complicated spiritual practice of knowing how to love and to let go. We can't give up the path toward a better world, the one we know that we and our earth and the future ones need. And we also don't know what this better world will look like and when and how it will come, even though we see glimpses of it each day. We don't know who we'll be when we reach the sea, in the words from O River that the Spirit sung so beautifully earlier. We don't know who we'll be when we reach the sea. Hard news, and also the very best of news. About a year ago, I had an opportunity to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience that maybe some of you have been lucky to have as well, to visit the state of Mexico and the mountains where the monarch butterflies migrate and spend their winter. It was a dream of a dear friend, and I got to go along for the ride. Many tried to explain to me the majesty and awe of hundreds of monarchs who live their lives along this migratory journey and fly down from the trees and the foothills, covering the sky like nature's most generous sunset-colored confetti. The migrating monarchs can be a metaphor for so much. For the many remaining mysteries of the natural world, that we don't know how they come back to the same hills at the same altitude year after year. We don't know if it's electromagnetism or DNA or navigating by the sun. They can be a metaphor for living beings that know no borders, crossing from Mexico into Texas, into the Midwest and Canada. They can be a metaphor for the fragility of our world as they live so briefly and die so quickly, but their impact, their beauty is transformative. But the takeaway for me, standing under thousands of orange fluttering wings on a hillside, butterflies paying me no mind, just living their butterfly lives, was acceptance. Acceptance of all that is beautiful and broken, all that cannot be changed and all that can be changed. Surrender to a world that is full of miraculous, mysterious life that lives side by side with harm and loss. The communities of people who live alongside the butterflies, like so many of us, have been hard hit by the pandemic. People working in the United States and Mexico City came back to villages when they could not work, and some did turn to logging to survive. Still others whose families have been forest rangers, protecting the butterflies and studying them for generations, now turn tourist dollars into sustainable infrastructure, helping whole communities understand how logging impacts the butterflies and the possibilities for sustaining both people and the butterflies. There is so much history and information that says we don't know a way through to a thriving world for us all and our earth. And so many moments when it's clear that we do. Our work is to love and transform what we can and let go of what we'll never know and can't control. It's a profound spiritual dance of holding multiple truths and nuance in a world where many of us might ache for clarity and certainty. Right before going to the butterflies, my partner Oscar and our dear friend and housemate and fellow Unitarian Universalist minister Annie and I put an offer on a house that we bought together. I met Annie in 2012 at our Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, and we were introduced to a mutual friend who invited us to share a hotel room so we could save money. And that's how we found ourselves, two strangers riding the early morning shuttle to worship together, going to all the receptions looking for free food together, protesting the white supremacist Sheriff Joe Arpaio together, planting the seed of what is now a profound friendship and life companionship. Some years later, I took a job in the cubicle next to her at our Unitarian Universalist Association. Then she and her husband moved in with me when she was 8 months pregnant. Neither Annie nor I have the partners or jobs that we had when we met in 2012, now 10 years ago. Instead of two couples and a new baby in a 2-bedroom apartment, we're now 4 different adults, 1 50-pound dog, and a 7-year-old who also lives half the time at her dad's. We had no idea how it would turn out, who we would be when we met the sea, what we would need to let go of, what leaves would drop, and what new ones would grow. People told me that it was nuts to live with someone else's child. People told her it was nuts to live with adults who are not her husband. Nothing is as we might have thought it would be. But here we are, finding our way 6 months into living in the home that we've purchased together, still not knowing who we'll be when we reach the sea, but practicing trusting the gravity of love and community at the center. In my work as a Unitarian Universalist community minister and a migrant justice organizer, I hear regularly from desperate but hopeful people in jail, their families and their attorneys. Most people who call have lived through torture, abuse, sickness, war, have often walked through whole countries and lost many people and homes along the way. And they are now living in the particular hell that is the US immigration detention system. I often don't know how to put love at the center of this hell. But what I try to remember is that if someone is calling me to get out of jail, they believe freedom is possible. They believe there is a fight worth fighting. They love themselves or their family or God or a dream of a peaceful life. We don't know how all of this goes down. We don't know who will be in the sea that is the future. So much seems possible. So much seems impossible. And amidst overwhelming uncertainties, there is love and the invitation to loosen, to not carry the weight of the world in our muscles and bones, to let go, let go, let go, and know that love can be our compass and our gravity, whichever end of the phone we are on. We must be people who love butterflies and have no idea how long they will survive. We must be people who love our friends and our homes and have no idea where we'll be in 6 years or 16. We must be people who do the work of peace in times of war and do the work of justice, even though we don't know how or what it will look like to turn our world around. No one knows what this good community that we create together over Zoom and in person, what our good spirits and this good world will look like in 6 years or 16. It will surely be different. Some things will surely be the same. Some things will have been lost, others gained. We will love. We will let go. We will let the gravity of love and connection do its work on us. We will loosen. There is, I believe, sacredness and glory here too, that we don't know who will be when we reach the sea, but we do know how to love and let go. Amen, and may it be so.